Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff here on FlossTube, and I am coming to you on this Friday, April 12th, 2024 with my next update video. We are just a week past my last update and we are back again with another pretty quick one, I should expect. I have a few projects that I have worked on, and then we're also going to talk about some knitting. But that's pretty much it. So before I start showing you everything, welcome everybody. Welcome to my returning viewers, as well as anybody who is new here and checking out my channel for the first time. Thanks for spending part of your day with me. I love y'all. I'm just gonna say it. I love y'all. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the works in progress. So these are the things that I have worked on over the last week since my last update video a week ago. And so when last we spoke, I was working on Dark Waters. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs. The artist is Jessica Elaine. Preview here of what this will look like finished. I have cropped mine to take off roughly 65 stitches off the width of the total design. But by and large, not really much of a change. I just needed to fit my fabric, and I didn't really want to go down to less than a 2 inches side margin. So here is where this project is now. So I was working on this towards the page finish. I admitted to you all last time that I was getting bored. That never really changed, but I got the page finished and that felt really good. So per usual, the coverage looks worse on camera than it does in real life, but you can start to see, the color shifting going on. We get from these navies into some brighter blues, and even some more gray blues down here. And of course we have the wings of the silhouette of one of the seagulls up here, and just the very top of the wing here in the bottom right corner of page 2. So that is where I finished off. So this was my piece that came up for Whip Go for me. It was my full coverage board for both spots, 18 and 21. So I had to just get the page finished, and I did. And I got the page finished on, I think, Sunday the 7th is when I finally put in those last stitches. It was quick, if not so interesting. So I posed the question on Instagram, and I'll ask it here too, what y'all think I should do. This project is technically done for the year. If I get back to it, it will be like a full coverage fanatics bingo kind of scenario. But when I get back to this, I'm toying with the idea of going across. So typically on my full coverage, I stitch the pages in diagonals just to get to some interesting things. But with this one, the bottom right corner of page 4. So I've got page 3, which is just a bunch more sky. And then the bottom right corner of page 4 is her forehead. It's just the very, very smallest bit of her forehead. So I'm toying with the idea of working my way across. However, it means more of this. It means more of this. So if I go on and do my diagonals, I'm not going to get to anything interesting very quickly. I've still got to get to page 4 to get to her forehead, but it will get into some of the lighter shades of the sky. So what do y'all think I should do? So technically I have 8 months to figure it out, but I might need this in July. We'll just have to wait and see what Kim and Ann have in store for me for July. So there is that. So that is Dark Waters. Whip Go goals accomplished. In my last video, I had talked about that once I got that page finished on Dark Waters, if I accomplished it on the 7th, I was going to start working on Farmhouse Christmas, because that is my non-full coverage call for April, one of them. And that Whip's birthday was the 7th. So like I said, I did get the Dark Waters page finish on the 7th, but I wasn't in the mood for Farmhouse Christmas. I just spun the wheel. And before I spun the wheel, I said, if it pulls Farmhouse Christmas, then I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take the sign from the universe. But if it doesn't, I'm also going to take that sign. So it didn't. It pulled instead kind of one of my bonus projects for this month. Living in this project bag. This is a bag by Nicole of Nicole's Needlework. And in here lives my Jane Walker circa 1800 from the Scarlet Letter. So let me show you the preview here of what this will look like finished. I'm going to take it out of the plastic so we don't get the glare. So yeah, so this is a fun little, it's a Scottish sampler. It wasn't officially dated, but based on the motifs and the stylizing, they date it around 1800. So that is what the reproduction looks like. And here's the original. So I'm assuming that these bright colors were taken from probably the back, because the front, they definitely look more muted. You can still kind of see the green blue of the Z and the Y there, but it's not quite as vibrant as the DMC 924 that we are using here 220 some odd years later. So yeah, so that is the piece that came up. This is a bonus piece because I don't really have time for it, but I am trying to get roughly a page finished a month to finish it during Sampler September. This is a 9-page chart. I got page 1 finished in February. I didn't work on it in March, and then I pulled it back out because the wheel told me to work on pages 2 and 3. Now 2, I was probably 50% of the way through, and page 3 is just a little bit more narrow than pages 1 and 2. So it wasn't such a big ask to get this goal accomplished. And it didn't take much. I think it took 2.5 days, I want to say. So this is on 40 count Newcastle linen in travertine by Color and Cotton. Way to go, memory. High five, brain. And so here's where I love this. I really, really love this. Especially having the full width of the design now. That looks just really, really cool. So the cutoff is actually like the first couple of stitches into the illuminated alphabet. So this honeysuckle motif isn't done yet because that's technically on page 6. But I wasn't going to stop midway through those illuminated letters because I have so much fun stitching them. Yeah, I really, really enjoy this piece. This is a lot of fun. So this tells me to use a holbein stitch or a running back stitch to do all of the swirlies and the little extra bits on the illuminated letters. But it wasn't worth it to me to do that, so I'm just doing that in a back stitch. It mentions that as the only specialty stitch, but if you look at this, there's definitely some other specialty stitches. So let me see. Let me see if I can open it up. Yeah. So this gold border is definitely a square stitch, which I hate, but I will do. And then there's this section here underneath this first line of the illuminated alphabet that is charted to be just cross stitch. It's charted a little differently in the chart itself. Like it doesn't use the symbols the same way as it does for that color anywhere else. And then closer inspection, and you probably won't be able to see it, it probably won't zoom in enough, but this section on the original looks to me like those are specialty stitches of some kind. Just the way that they are kind of grouped. So I'm going to probably do the math and see about doing maybe a Rhodes stitch there or a rice stitch, depending on the math and the spacing. Just to do something a little different, because it doesn't look like just cross stitch there to me. I mean, obviously I'm not looking at the original here in front of my face, but yeah, it just looks like it's different on the original than what they interpreted it for the reproduction. So I'm going to toy with that the next time that I work on this. Maybe it will come out in May. maybe not. We'll see. We shall see. So that is my progress on Jane Walker. I wanted to keep going with that. I really did. I wanted to get started on page 4 because just to simplify my next pages, but I couldn't justify it. I had already spent time on a project that's a bonus piece, so I had to keep moving. I was kind of rationalizing that I had the time to be able to because I got Dark Waters finished so quickly, but still, I still have a lot on my plate as far as stitching plans are concerned. So keep rolling, keep moving. So spin the wheel again, and this time it pulled non-full coverage whip go. And I decided to go with the one that I wanted to work on the least because early in the month motivation and that sort of thing. So that lives in this project here. This is a project bag by Fab Shabby Rose on Etsy. They also post bags every now and again on Stash Unloading, the cross stitch Facebook group. So that is the project bag, and this is Farmhouse Christmas. So Farmhouse Christmas, this piece and I, for whatever reason, I'm just struggling getting it done. At the start of the month, I had 2 blocks to finish plus 2 more that needed the border still. And I started this piece in 2018, so like I've been working on this for what feels like forever. So, I got started on block 8, excuse me. So block 8, I actually got finished up last night. And I think this might be my favorite block because I actually didn't hate stitching this block. I think I really like the tree. I really like the color that they chose for the tree. So this is charted in mostly Classic Colorworks with a couple of DMCs, but the green and the red are really the only 2 Classic Colorworks worth getting. Maybe the brown, but not the gray brown, and certainly not the dark brown. I wouldn't do it. And then the white, it's charted in Classic Colorworks Bamboo, but I don't ever use overdyed white. So that's subbed out for $38.65. But I did get the block finished last night. I don't know if it's just me, but, or maybe it's an influence with the solar eclipse earlier this week that we had here in the States. So, you know, there were a bunch of memes on Reels and TikTok and whatnot that were people showing Stephanie Meyer's book, Eclipse, going over the sun. So maybe that's where the influence comes from, but every time I was working on these 2, I couldn't help but see Jasper in his cowboy hat and Alice in her red scarf as they were in Italy. I couldn't help it. Like, that's got to be Jasper and Alice, right? Well, they are now. That is Jasper and Alice for me. Yeah, I thought that was pretty great. So, and there's Jacob and a cardinal. Anyway, so yeah. So got that block finished yesterday. So that block was 1,400 stitches. My goal for my non-full coverage board for WhipGo is 1,500 stitches or the finish. It's supposed to be just progress or the finish, but since I want to get at least 1,500 stitches into all of my whips this year, or all of the whips that I can anyway, then I decided to turn progress into 1,500 stitches minimum. So that was about 1,400 stitches. So this morning I got going on block 9, just working on the border a little bit. And that's about 100 stitches there. So I'm at my 1,500 stitches goal. My placement with these blocks, I can't explain it. This one, so this used to be a full fat quarter, and this one I thought I was going to start on the right side, and so I started it here thinking that I was going to work this way, and then I just, on autopilot I guess, I just started working this way. So my placement's a little weird, but it's fine. These are the last blocks, so there's just some weird spacing going on, but it's all right. It's not a big deal. I don't need a ton of corner margin to finish this how I plan to, so I'm not stressed about it. So I'm at a dilemma. This block 8 took me about 3 days. So block 9 I could finish by the end of the weekend and finish the whole project by the end of the weekend, which is attractive. I'm not gonna lie, getting this off my plate sounds great. But also, I kind of want a break. I have reached my WIPCO goal minimum and I kind of want a break. So this is obviously off the frame as of this morning, so subconsciously I made the decision that I'm taking a break, at least for a few days. Maybe I will come back to this. Maybe I will head over and work on some other goals, and then come back to this later. Time will tell. We'll see. The WIPCO goal is accomplished, so that can be enough for this year, or for now. We'll see. So that is Farmhouse Christmas. Okay, I put that down and then realized that I had the chart sitting here. This is what block 9 will look like. This is Baba Black Sheep. And so it's a big barn. It's a really big block. This one's going to take me more than 3 days, I expect. Just because that's a big barn. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. So put those down. Let's talk briefly about some plans. I'm of a couple of minds, right? So I can work on Farmhouse Christmas, get the block finished, maybe get the project finished because I still have borders to add to 2 other blocks that I have previously finished, quote unquote. Or I can move on. So I spun the wheel a couple of days ago, just to try to get my plans together. And so the next project that came up was small monthly goals. And so I need to pick one of my small monthly goals to work on. So I think I have decided that after Farmhouse Christmas, whether that's after the weekend or now, today, that's going to be Summer Sampler because I haven't done my March section on it. So I need to do March and April. And I'm in the mood for those, for color, for bright colors, for something pretty. Because Farmhouse Christmas, that color palette, not exactly so much fun. So Summer Sampler. I did not bring Summer Sampler to show you. I meant to, but I didn't. So we'll just see that as and when I get to it in my next update. Okay. If I decide to go with Summer Sampler today, probably into tomorrow, then after that, I'm going to start June Quaker by From the Heart Needle Art by Wendy. That's another one of my small monthly goals, but it's also my non-full coverage WIPCO goal. And so I think it'd be cool to knock out that goal before mid-month. And then I can work on all the other goals, all the other things that I work on. Again, I didn't bring that to show you, but that's okay. Okay, next Tuesday is April 16th. I am a Virginia Tech alum, and April 16th is a tough day. It always is. As we get closer and closer to the day, I start to feel the clouds roll in, and I start to feel sad. I can't help it. So for those of you that are new, I was a freshman at Virginia Tech on April 16th, 2007. And one of the girls who lived next door to me, Mary Karen Reed, was one of those who was killed on 4/16. And so 4/16, 2007 was kind of it's kind of one of those before and after days, a lot like 9/11 here in the States. I'm a different person 17 years later, which also is a number that I can't really process today. But anyway, 4/16 always looms dark and heavy for me. And so last year I started a project to just bring some cheerful, happy colors into my life, leading into some dark and heavy. And a couple of videos ago, I asked you all to choose what my full coverage piece was going to be for By the Numbers 500. And coincidentally, these two things lined up. So I meant to talk about this last week and I totally forgot. The project is still sitting here next to me. I totally ditched talking about this last week. I got finished filming and editing and uploading. I'm starting to clean up. I'm like, wait a second. But anyway, So I'm going to work on this piece on Monday and Tuesday next week. Monday is its whip birthday, and Tuesday is 4/16, the day that I will lean on it quite a bit. I do have a tally here. It's not totally accurate because I think I've gotten a couple more votes since I last did the tally, but just a quick run through here. Cherry Blossoms Breezes got a whopping 7 votes. Haunted House got 11 votes. Over the River got 8 votes, and Sweet Summertime got, let me count here, 10, 20, 30, 43 votes. So a very clear victory for Sweet Summertime. So preview here of what this will look like finished. That lives in this project bag, which is a pepper pot shot bag. This is a chart by Contemporary Cross, and the artist is Andrea Lavery. Like I said, this is a piece that I started last year, and I am geeked to get back to it. So here is my starting point. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to working on this. I'm gonna aim for, I think, 1,000 stitches over those 2 days. I think that that's a pretty reasonable goal. There's a lot of color in this piece, and I'm excited to get into some of the other stuff. So that is the goal for this one. Now, all of the pieces that were options will come up at some point this year. It was just a matter of what I prioritize to work on now. So this one I'm going to work on for, by the numbers, 500, but I think I'm going to aim for 1,000 stitches. And then it's going to be spinning the wheel until Friday. On Friday, April 19th, Beth Ann and I are starting A Symphony of Friendship by Cottage Garden Samplings. Again, I didn't bring that. I brought no plans except for the one that was still here from last week's video. But preview here of what that will look like finished. This was a recent Cottage Garden Samplings release that Beth Ann and I both fell in love with. It's ginormous, but we're starting it next weekend. Next weekend is the 24 Hours of Cross Stitch Marathon weekend. And it's the last weekend before my next birthday. So that's what I'm going to be starting next Friday. And I'm going to work on it maybe a little bit on Saturday. Saturday night, my mom, my brother, and I, we are going to go see Little Shop of Horrors. It is a touring show, and it's in DC currently. And since my birthday is the day before my mom's, we're going to go see that to celebrate our birthdays. And we're going to go out to dinner, and it's going to be great fun. Just the 3 of us. Which I think is fantastic. Just the timing of all of this, because if you've seen Little Shop of Horrors, the movie with Rick Moranis, you know that he bought a plant during the solar eclipse. And then we just had a solar eclipse a few days ago. So that's just kind of funny. Somebody in DC bought a plant, which I think is pretty cool. So anyway, so we're gonna be doing that next weekend, and then I will maybe be back the following week to film an update. We'll just kind of have to wait and see. My birthday is on Thursday, April 25th. So I'll be watching Miss Congeniality because that's a tradition. And we'll see what else happens next weekend. So those are the plans. Those are the upcoming plans. If I don't film this coming Friday, which I don't think I'm going to, just because I'll be out of town on Saturday. So that's just the plans coming up here. So yeah. So let's switch gears here, and we are going to talk about knitting. I have a little bit of knitting to talk about. So if you aren't here for the knitting, then I will see you in the next one. Happy stitching. But if you are, here's a real quick project that I have been working on, but that comes with its own aside. I haven't worked on it in a few days, like over a week. But so let's get into it. So this is the 24 Birds Mystery Knit Along by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. It is a shawl. It is an ongoing mystery. Yesterday, Clue 4 was released, and I have just started on Clue 2, so I'm quite a ways behind. So I am going to show it here. If you are knitting it or planning to knit it and you don't want to be spoiled by it, then feel free to check out here, because this is all I really have to talk about. So I haven't knit consistently in forever. My quote-unquote active project has been sitting on this shelf for, I don't know, y'all tell me, because it's been there for many videos this year. I don't know that I've worked on it yet after like January at the most recent. So anyway, I haven't knit consistently, but I got this email from Helen Stewart that she was getting ready to kick off a mystery knit along, and she hasn't done one in a couple of years. And I was like, I am always in for a Helen Stewart shawl knit along. I am always in for a Helen Stewart mystery shawl knit along. I have several whips on the go that I haven't worked on in years. So I had no business casting this on, but I did anyway. I was originally going to stash dive to try to find yarn, but I was getting too caught up in the, oh, I should work on this, or oh, I should start this, or I think I need to save this for this, or do I have the right color for... I needed to uncomplicate this as much as possible. So several dyers put out some sets for this. It's a 4 skein. It's a pretty large shawl. I think the smallest yardage is like 250 yards or something like that. Anyway, so I just decided to try to find a set that I really liked. This shawl is inspired by William Morris, 24 Birds. And so I found this set by Emma's Yarn. So they had this colorway called Acanthus, which leans pretty heavily on the earthy neutrals, which is usually where I gravitate. And so I scooped this up, and I'm calling it my birthday present to myself, because I have a ton of yarn. I have so much yarn, but I bought this anyway. So I'm going to show it to you. This is a pie shawl. It is a full circle shawl, which I don't think I've ever knit a full circle shawl before. So here's what it is looking like currently. And like I said, I am barely into Clue 2. So let me try to show this to you. So we started with a circular cast on, which it took me, I think, 15 or 16 tries to get to this point. I didn't have the right size crochet hook, so my beginning stitches are looking a little humongous, but that's okay. I'm not too stressed about it. By the time this is blocked out, it will probably not even be noticed. So you start off with a circular cast on, and then you can either put it on DPNs or magic loop. So I started with magic loop, and so that in and of itself was its own learning curve, because there were places where we had to shift stitches. There were yarn overs at the end of a needle, which mentally I just had to work out in my head how to do that, and lots of YouTube. So there's been a lot of new skills here, just in the beginning stages of this. So I started out on magic loop, and the only cable that I had to fit the needles that I have was this little one. And it really wasn't enough to do magic loop by the time we got to, I think, 140 stitches. It really just wasn't enough of a loop. I was getting big jogs here at the center point because my cable wasn't big enough, so this space separating the two needles. Anyway, I was getting big jogs. I think I'm going to be able to block it out or work it out. It's not going to be too stressful, I don't think. So I ordered a new cable, and then I'm using the new cable, and a really big one, And I was like, you know, I bet I could move this back to the little cable and just knit in the round. So now I'm at the point where I'm knitting in the round on the smaller cable. I used the big cable, I think, for 2 days. So there is that. So let me go through the yarns. They are 100% superwash merino fingering weight singles. Singles is my favorite for shawls. Singles is my favorite. I like knitting with singles. It just means that it's not plied. So this neutral here with the speckles that you can't really see unless I flip to the back. There's a few speckles through there. That one is called Raindrops. Let me see if you can see it in the ball. If you can see the speckles. Yep, just very barely speckled there. And then my dark gray is the colorway Nailed It, which I think is gorgeous. There are some kind of rusty colored speckles that pop up every now and again. I thought that my daughter had gotten chocolate on it or something, but no, those are intentional. And then my color C is called Yarn Husband. It's this kind of more variegated neutral blue gray kind of color. And then my color 4 is Kale, which I haven't spun up yet. But I'm really geeked to get into this one because this is honestly the colorway that pulled me in to begin with. I really love these kind of dark mossy greens. That's pretty. So that's Kale. So I didn't show this to y'all in my last update video because I have some decisions to make. I think ultimately I don't have any decisions to make, but I don't really like what I did. So when they sent me the yarn, and the way that they have it advertised is the order in which that I just showed it to you. Neutral, dark gray, blue, green. This is not meant to be a gradient. It can be, but it's not really meant to be. So when I got the yarn and I pulled it out of the package, I rearranged it so that this was my color 2, so that we had this kind of a transition instead of this. Well, I probably should have done that, but I went with their suggestion of going in this order. And what I'm running into is I am in the section where I'm striping color B with color C, sort of transitioning into more of the color C. And you kind of can't see it. You can't, I mean, you can in places, but it's not real obvious, the color transition. So I'm hoping that my color B, or my color C rather, there I go messing it up again. I'm hoping that my color C is going to look okay and that there's going to be enough contrast there, but I'm not so sure. So we'll see. We'll see. There will be plenty of contrast by the time I get to the Kale, so I'm not worried about that. I didn't do the thing that you're supposed to do with yarn, and that is take a black and white color photo, and that will help you with deciding placement based on the contrast that you see in a grayscale. And I didn't do that. And these two, I bet, are pretty similar in grayscale. I bet they're pretty similar. So I probably should have seen that coming. But anyway, I think it's pretty nonetheless. I'm going to go with it. And I got to get back to knitting this because I'm way behind now. I got caught up. I got Clue 1 knit in 4 or 5 days in time for Clue 2 to be released, and I haven't really worked on it since. So I do have to get back to this. So that is my 24 Birds Mystery Knit Along. I have gotten into watching, like, going way back to season 1, episode 1 of Law & Order SVU. That's been a whole trip, because, like, the internet and pre 9/11 and just all sorts of things. Anyway, I have been watching that while knitting, and I haven't done that in some time. So I need to pick up that habit again. So that is it for the knitting, and that is it for this video. Another quick one for you, but that's what happens. I film every 7 days. That's pretty much what you can expect. So I am going to head off here and get this edited and uploaded for you all. Happy stitching, everybody. As always, be kind. I will see you in the next one, probably in about 2 weeks. See you then.